What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, we're going to discuss 10 of the biggest money mistakes us guys make. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Richard Anderson, salute. Now, unfortunately, a lot of us, myself included, were not or are not currently being taught financial literacy. And this easily leads to a lot of money mistakes. Some of these financial mistakes are small, but many of them are pretty big. And that's what I want to help you avoid on today's video. On today's video, I'm going to identify 10 of the biggest money mistakes a lot of us make. We're going to talk about why they're money mistakes you should be on the lookout for and try to correct or avoid them in the first place. So without any further delay, let's hop right into it. First up on the list is a very elementary one, but one a lot of people make nonetheless. It's the financial mistake of not having and living by a budget. This simple but effective tool of having a budget gets your finances in the right direction. I mean, you can't know where you're going if you don't have an accurate picture of what's going in and coming out every month. Writing down, and yes, I mean writing down your expenditures and your income every month gives you a good lay of the land. It lets you know what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Having a budget allows you to have a plan. It allows you to prepare for things seen and unseen. A lot of people that don't live by a financial budget wind up overspending or living paycheck to paycheck. So what I recommend you do, if you don't have a budget for the next 3 months, write down what comes in and goes out and average it out. That's your financial budget. Like I said, having a budget gives you a lay of the land and allows you to strategize your next financial move. Next up is a money mistake made by a lot of younger guys. It's not investing early and often. What a lot of guys do, especially younger guys, they think, I've got 30, 40 years to retirement. I'll invest later. Huge mistake. One of the factors you have on your side when you're younger and invest, you have time to build your wealth. Compound interest multiplies the longer you leave the money in. And another advantage to investing early is that you have a chance to take more risks. You have time to lose and gain money. Another advantage is that over time, you learn what works for you and what doesn't work. You're allowed the ability to refine your investment strategies. And another great thing about investing early, it helps you develop financial discipline. You can't invest if you haven't saved money to invest in the first place. People are always talking about ways to make passive income. One of the best ways to do that, gain interest by investing. Remember to invest early and often. What if you've decided you're ready to start investing like a pro and you want to build long-term wealth, but you have no idea where to start? You've decided you should invest your money intelligently, not get caught up in the hype, but instead focus on the long game. If this sounds anything like you, I suggest you get started with today's video sponsor, Titan. Titan is a premier investment firm for the everyday investor, offering the best investment experience that's accessible to all income levels. Titan built a mobile app, not an ETF, not a mutual fund, because it makes it much easier to explain to you what's going on and how they're managing your money. With no fees on your gains, no lockups, and a low flat rate advisory fee and record-shattering returns, it's no wonder Titan was named Top Advisor of the Year by US News. Titan's unique strategy has allowed them to outperform all major indexes and robo-advisors since their inception. With Titan, you get direct exposure to the investment manager through video content. Titan provides you with an exceptional investment experience. You get real-time video updates, first-class security, and on top of that, all it takes is $100 to get started on your journey to wealth and savvy investing. Now, not only did Titan sponsor today's video, they've got a special offer for the Style O.G. family. All you have to do is head over to titan.com/StyleOG, and you'll get your first 3 months of expert investment management for 0 fees. So if you're ready to invest your money like a pro and build your long-term wealth, get started with Titan today. Next up on the list of the biggest money mistakes is one a lot of people make. It's the financial mistake of not saving up an emergency fund. The thing about an emergency fund is your first line of defense when it comes to your finances. No matter who we are, just about all of us face financial ups and downs. What do you do when you have an unforeseen illness? God forbid you lose your job. Your car breaks down. You have to fix something around the house. What money do you use? Your emergency fund. Now, how much of an emergency fund should you have? Think back to your budget. What are your monthly expenses? I suggest you save up 6 to 9 months equivalent of that. And make sure you use your emergency fund only for that. It's not for vacations. It's for emergencies, life's unexpected events. As most of us can attest to over these last 18 months, life happens. Be financially prepared. Save up an emergency fund. Now, next up is a money mistake a lot of guys make because it takes some effort. It's the mistake of not maximizing your career. Here's why maximizing your career is very important when it comes to your finances. Your job or your career is your hugest financial asset. The money you bring in from your career is the springboard to all your financial decisions. The more you make, the more flexibility you have. And here's where, just like investing, when it comes to your career, you want to think the long game. Think about what investments you can make in yourself that would increase your earnings potential. Whether it's as simple as putting in more hours, getting advanced training, networking more. One of the things you definitely want to avoid when it comes to your career is complacency. Don't let your job become stagnant. Constantly evolve and grow and maximize your career. If you don't, it's a huge money mistake. Next up is a financial mistake a lot of people are making nowadays. It's the money era of spending too much money on your house. Here's the thing. A house is probably going to be the largest purchase you ever make in your life. And it's going to take up a huge chunk of your monthly expenditures. You want to keep it as low as possible. And let me tell you firsthand, most people don't need as much house as they think they do. I guarantee you, a lot of you spend most of your time in the kitchen, living room, and your bedroom. You don't use the rest of your house. And because it's usually your largest expenditure, the more you spend on your house, the less you have to spend on other things. Keep those housing expenses down. A great benchmark to go for, in my opinion, don't let your mortgage be more than 30% of your monthly expenditures. If you do, you probably bought too much house. Speaking of spending too much money on an item, brings us to our next major money mistake. I think it's a huge financial error to ever buy a new car. And there's a few reasons why. When you buy a new car, the moment you drive it off the lot, it's a used car now. And it depreciates usually around 25% immediately. And when you buy a new car, there's other expenses that go up as well. Because you've had to borrow more money, you pay more interest over the course of that car loan. Not to mention another monthly expense, your car insurance is usually higher on a new car. Instead, do what I recommend you do. Buy a 2 or 3 year old used car. It's going to look just as good as that new car, but it's probably going to cost you around 30 or 40% less than if you bought it brand new. And between me and you, as someone who's owned a lot of nice cars, most people won't know the difference if you have a 2021 or 2018. So let the other guy be the sucker. Let him buy the new car. You grab it 2 or 3 years later and save a lot of money. Now, when speaking about not buying a new car, we talked a little bit about insurance. And that brings us to our next major money mistake. A lot of guys just don't prioritize insurance. A lot of guys, especially younger guys, say, hey, I don't need insurance. I'm young. Nothing's going to happen to me. But think about what we talked about in our tip about an emergency fund. Insurance is for those problems you'll never be able to save up for. Insurance is like your emergency fund on steroids. Think about it. If you have a major illness, a real bad injury, a catastrophic accident, this is where insurance comes in. It takes care of those huge problems. Yes, I get it. Paying for insurance month after month might seem like a losing bet. But trust me, when you need insurance, you'll be glad you had it. So make sure as part of your financial planning, you have life insurance, homeowners or rental insurance, and of course, health insurance. Just like you need an emergency fund, don't make the major financial error of not having and prioritizing insurance. Now, next up is a major money mistake that has tripped up many a guy over the years. Is not having frank, honest discussions about money with your wife before you get married. Here's the thing. Yes, love is a great thing, but marriage is a business partnership. There's no way you would go into any other business partnership without directly and honestly talking about money. With your future wife, you have to discuss open and honestly spending habits, financial values, and financial goals. A lack of financial transparency on either your part or hers can easily lead to conflict. You've heard the numbers. One of the major reasons why people get divorced, money problems. I highly recommend you have open, honest discussions about money before you decide to get married. It'll save you from a lot of headaches down the line. Now, next up is a money mistake that's a cycle a lot of people get caught up in. It's the financial error of only paying the minimum payment due on your credit cards month after month. Have you ever wondered why they make it so easy for you to pay the minimum? That's because they make a lot of interest when you do that. In fact, when you only pay the minimum payment on your credit cards, you're barely making a dent. It'll usually take you 3 to 4 years to pay that balance down. Of course, they encourage you to pay the minimum payment. It's to the credit card's advantage and your disadvantage. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to pay the balance due every month, although that would be ideal. Instead, at least try to double or triple the minimum payment every month. You'll pay that balance down much more quickly. You'll raise your credit score faster and you'll save a lot of interest over time. Please don't make the huge mistake of only paying the credit card minimum every month. Speaking of credit brings us to another major money mistake, and one I've definitely paid the price for. It's not monitoring your credit report and your credit scores. Trying to get that mortgage, they're going to check your credit. Want a car loan or a great rate on the insurance for that car? They're going to check your credit. Guess who else checks it? A potential employer. A lot of people know, but just as many people don't realize how much of an impact your credit score has on your finances. Want to get a house, a car, a job? Your credit score matters. And it just doesn't matter for people who are worried about their credit score. Those with good credit oftentimes will find errors on their credit report. Being aware of your credit score or potential errors or mistakes gives you time to clear it up before you apply for things you want to get. It's hugely important you remain aware of what's on your credit report and what your current credit score is. I recommend checking it once a quarter. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, a lot of us just don't have financial literacy, and it leads to a lot of major money mistakes. But I believe if you pay attention to the 10 big money mistakes we talked about on today's video, and you try to avoid or correct them, you'll be well on your way to better overall financial health. As always, I love your input. Let us know in the comments section any major money mistakes you want to warn the Style O.G family about that I might have left off this list.